The relationship between humans and their canine companions transcends the physical realm in ways that few of us fully comprehend. When we look into the eyes of our faithful dogs, we glimpse something profound, a pure, unconditional love that seems to operate beyond the limitations of instinct or training. According to the renowned psychic Edgar, this connection is no coincidence. In his spiritual readings, he described how the bond between a dog and their human creates what he called an energy thread that continues to vibrate between worlds long after physical separation occurs. This invisible cord of attachment doesn't break when death intervenes. It merely transforms. Edgar taught that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and the love between humans and their dogs represents one of its purest expressions. Unlike human relationships, which can become complicated by expectations, judgments, and conditions, a dog's love remains steadfast and true. This quality of devotion creates energetic imprints that become permanent fixtures in the spiritual realm. When a beloved dog passes from this world, the energy thread created through years of companionship serves as a guide, helping the animal's spirit navigate toward the light. This connection acts as a spiritual beacon, ensuring that no dog ever truly journeys alone when crossing the threshold between worlds. Many who have experienced the profound grief of losing a canine companion report mysterious sensations in the days and weeks following their pet's transition. The feeling of paws padding across the floor, the familiar sound of breathing beside their bed, or even catching a glimpse of their dog's form from the corner of their eye. According to Edgar's teachings, these aren't merely manifestations of grief or wishful thinking, but genuine encounters made possible by the enduring energy thread. The strength of this bond explains why the departure of a dog can trigger such overwhelming sorrow in their human companions. We aren't simply mourning the loss of a pet, but experiencing a genuine energetic separation, a temporary disruption in a connection that transcends physical reality. Yet Edgar assures us that this separation is never permanent. The energetic bond between dog and human serves another crucial purpose after death. It creates a sense of familiarity and comfort for the animal as it transitions to new states of being. Dogs, with their simpler consciousness than humans, rely on these threads of connection to maintain their sense of identity and purpose as they move beyond physical existence. Perhaps most comforting is Edgar's assertion that dogs recognize and respond to our thoughts and feelings even after their physical death. When we direct loving thoughts toward our departed companions, they receive these energetic messages. The thread pulses with our emotions, allowing for a form of communication that transcends the limitations of the physical world. This explains why many people report feeling their dog's presence most strongly in moments of distress or emotional need. The energy thread allows our canine companions to continue their role as protectors and comforters, responding to our emotional states just as they did in life. Edgar taught that we strengthen this eternal bond each time we recall happy memories of our dogs. Every moment of gratitude and love reinforces the connection, ensuring that it remains vibrant and active across dimensions. Far from fading with time, the spiritual bond can actually intensify through our conscious attention and appreciation. Understanding this eternal connection offers profound comfort to those grieving the loss of a beloved dog. It assures us that our companions aren't lost but merely transformed, continuing their journey in a different form while remaining connected to us through the unbreakable thread of love. As we conclude this first exploration of the afterlife journey of dogs, remember that the connection you've shared with your canine companion has created ripples in the fabric of the universe, permanent imprints that will never fade or disappear. This is the foundation of the spiritual journey that awaits them, a journey we'll explore more deeply in the chapters to come. When a beloved dog crosses the threshold from physical life, they do not experience darkness or confusion as many humans fear. Instead, according to Edgar's spiritual insights, they awaken in what can be described as a transition plane, a realm between worlds that serves as the first stage of their afterlife journey. This transition plane is not a distant, unfamiliar place, but rather a spiritual dimension that closely mirrors the physical world the dog has just left. Edgar described this realm as being infused with familiar sounds, scents, and colors, a compassionate design that prevents any fear or disorientation for these faithful companions. Most importantly, this space is not static or predetermined, but dynamically shaped by the love and affection the animal experienced during its earthly life. The memories of love act as building blocks in this realm, creating environments that resonate with the dog's happiest experiences. A dog who loved running through meadows might find itself in endless fields of tall grass swaying in gentle breezes. One who cherished swimming might awaken near sparkling streams or peaceful lake shores. A companion who found joy in simply resting at their human's feet might experience the comfort of familiar textures and the energetic imprint of their beloved human's presence. During the first days following transition, dogs exist in a state that Edgar described as gentle awakening. Unlike the human experience of death, which often involves complex processing and life review, a dog's transition is characterized by an immediate sense of lightness and freedom. Physical ailments and limitations that may have troubled them in their final days, arthritis, blindness, cancer, or the frailty of advanced age, no longer restrict their experience. Many spiritual witnesses have described seeing elderly dogs transform back into their prime, bounding with the energy and vitality of their youth. This transition plane serves several important purposes in the spiritual journey of our canine companions. First, it provides a gentle adjustment period, allowing the dog's consciousness to adapt to existence without physical form. Second, it preserves the essence of the dog's identity and personality, ensuring that what made them unique, their particular way of showing affection, their distinctive behaviors, their individual spirit, remains intact. And third, it maintains the energetic connections to those they loved, particularly their human companions. One of the most remarkable aspects of this transition realm is what Edgar called the emotional echo. The love, care, and affection shown to a dog during its lifetime creates resonant energy patterns that continue to nourish and comfort the animal's spirit after death. This explains why dogs who were deeply loved and well treated transition more easily than those who experience neglect or cruelty. The emotional echo serves as sustenance, helping them integrate the experience of physical death with spiritual continuation. Edgar taught that during this initial transition period, dogs are not alone. They are met by the spirits of other animals, often including beloved animal companions who preceded them in death. Many who have experienced near-death states or profound spiritual visions report witnessing joyful reunions between animals who shared bonds in life. A dog might be greeted by a feline housemate who passed years earlier, or by previous canine companions from the same household. Time operates differently in this transition plane. What might seem like days or weeks to human perception could be experienced quite differently by the dog's consciousness. This flexibility allows each animal spirit to acclimate at its own pace, without pressure or expectation. Some dogs transition quickly through this realm, while others may linger, particularly if they sense that their human companions are experiencing intense grief. Edgar emphasized that during this period, the connection between dog and human remains strong and vital. The transition plane exists in close proximity to the physical world, allowing the dog's spirit to move between realms with relative ease. This explains why many people report sensing their dog's presence most strongly in the days and weeks immediately following their passing. The veil between worlds is thinnest during this time, and the dog's consciousness is still adjusting to its new state of being. Perhaps most comforting to grieving pet owners is Edgar's assertion that dogs in this transition realm can perceive the thoughts, emotions, and even spoken words of their human companions. When you speak to your departed dog, reminisce about shared memories, or simply send thoughts of love, these communications reach them. They may not understand the specific words, but they absolutely recognize and respond to the emotional energy behind them. The transition plane is not a permanent destination, but rather the first step in a continuing journey. As dogs become accustomed to their non-physical existence and grow in spiritual awareness, they gradually move toward higher realms of consciousness. Yet even as they progress, the emotional bonds formed during physical life remain intact, serving as eternal connections across dimensions of existence. Understanding this transition plane offers profound comfort to those grieving the loss of a canine companion. Your dog is not lost in darkness or confusion, but awakening in a realm shaped by the very love you shared, a place of peace, freedom, and continued connection to all they cherished in life. In the vast spiritual ecosystem that exists beyond physical perception, Edgar revealed the presence of specialized beings whose sacred purpose is to receive, guide, and nurture animal souls as they transition from earthly existence. These entities, which he referred to as nature angels or animal guardians, represent one of the most beautiful and compassionate aspects of the universal design. These spiritual guardians are not angels in the traditional religious sense, though they share qualities of benevolence and protective care. Rather, they are evolved consciousness forms that have developed a particular affinity for and understanding of animal spirits. Edgar described them as beings of light who vibrate at frequencies specifically attuned to the energetic signatures of different animal species. Just as certain humans feel a natural calling toward animal care in the physical world, these spiritual entities have devoted their evolution to supporting animal souls in the non-physical realms. When a dog passes from physical life, it is never left to navigate the transition alone. Within moments of separation from the body, these guardian spirits make their presence known. They approach with gentle, welcoming energy that the animal instinctively recognizes and trusts. For dogs who suffered in their final days, these guardians bring immediate comfort and healing. For those who transitioned peacefully, the guardians serve as guides to new experiences and expanded awareness. The nature of these spiritual guardians varies according to the needs of the animals they serve. Dogs who lived with fear or trauma may be met by guardians who specialize in emotional healing, while those who lived with confidence and joy might encounter guardians who specialize in spiritual expansion. Edgar emphasized that there is perfect wisdom in these assignments. Each dog receives exactly the guidance most beneficial for its continued evolution. One of the primary functions of these guardian spirits is to help newly transitioned dogs understand their changed state of being. Physical death represents a profound shift in perception and experience, and animals, like humans, require orientation to their new condition. The guardians communicate not through language, but through what Edgar called thought forms, direct transmissions of understanding that transcend the limitations of verbal expression. Through these exchanges, dogs gradually comprehend that they have shed their physical form, but retained their essential identity. These spiritual guardians also help the animal understand its new capabilities. Dogs who were once limited by physical constraints discover they can now move with the speed of thought, communicate telepathically, and perceive dimensions previously hidden from their awareness. Learning to navigate these expanded abilities requires guidance, and the animal guardians provide patient instruction as the dog acclimates to its enhanced state. Perhaps most importantly, these guardian spirits help the dog maintain its connection to loved ones still in physical form. They teach the newly transitioned animal how to recognize and respond to the energy threads connecting them to their human companions. They demonstrate how to send comforting impressions across the dimensional divide, and how to make their presence felt during visits to the physical realm. Edgar described these guardians as having profound respect for the bond between humans and their animal companions. They never attempt to sever or weaken these connections, but instead work to preserve and strengthen them, recognizing that these bonds serve the spiritual growth of both the animal and the human. The guardians understand that love transcends dimensions and operates as a bridge between worlds. These spiritual entities also serve as interpreters of human grief. When a person's sorrow becomes overwhelming, potentially constraining their dog's spiritual progress, the guardians help the animal understand that this intense emotion stems from love rather than a desire to limit their freedom. They teach the dog how to send comfort without becoming entangled in the density of human grief, a delicate balance that allows both the animal and the person to continue their respective journeys. According to Edgar's insights, these guardians often appear to animals in forms they find familiar and comforting. For a dog, the guardian might take on qualities reminiscent of a kind human, or even aspects of other animal companions. This adaptability helps establish immediate trust, allowing the guardians to begin their work without causing distress or confusion to the newly transitioned spirit. The relationship between an animal and its spiritual guardian evolves over time. In the initial stages following transition, the guardian remains in close proximity, offering constant support and guidance. As the animal grows in understanding and capability, the guardian gradually steps back, encouraging independence while remaining available when needed. Edgar described this process as similar to good parenting, providing structure and support while fostering growth and self-discovery. These guardians also play a crucial role in helping animal spirits recognize and fulfill their continued purpose. Contrary to some limited human perspectives, animals have spiritual missions that extend beyond their physical lives. Dogs, with their extraordinary capacity for love and loyalty, often continue to serve as emotional supports, spiritual teachers, and connectors between realms. The guardians help them recognize these possibilities and develop the skills needed to fulfill these higher purposes. Edgar spoke of hierarchies among these spiritual guardians, with some specializing in the care of specific species, while others coordinate broader patterns of animal evolution. The guardians assigned to dogs are particularly attuned to the unique qualities of canine consciousness, their pack-oriented nature, their capacity for devotion, and their intuitive understanding of human emotion. This specialization allows for precisely tailored guidance that honors the dog's essential nature while supporting its spiritual advancement. Understanding the role of these spiritual guardians offers profound comfort to those mourning a beloved dog. Your companion has not been cast adrift in an unfamiliar spiritual landscape, but has been received with loving care by beings who understand their nature perfectly. These guardians ensure that your dog's transition is gentle, that their unique spirit remains intact, and that the loving connection you shared continues to flourish across the boundary between worlds. As we conclude our exploration of these compassionate spiritual beings, remember that they serve not just the animals in their care, but also, indirectly, the humans who loved them. By guiding your dog through their continued journey, they help ensure that the comfort, wisdom, and love your companion wishes to send you can reach across the dimensional divide, offering healing for your grief and assurance of their continued existence. Among Edgar's most comforting spiritual teachings was his assertion that the bonds between dogs and their human companions remain active and vital after physical death. He spoke repeatedly of how dogs frequently return to visit their former homes and loved ones, bringing messages of reassurance and maintaining their role as guardians and companions, albeit in a transformed state. These visitations are not random or occasional events, but represent a purposeful choice by the dog's spirit to maintain connection. According to Edgar, in the days and weeks immediately following transition, many dogs remain closely tethered to the physical realm, making their presence known through various subtle signs that can be perceived by those who are receptive. These visits serve multiple purposes. They provide comfort to grieving humans, allow the dog to ensure its family's well-being, and facilitate a gradual, gentle separation rather than an abrupt severing of bonds. The signs of these spiritual visitations manifest in diverse ways, varying according to the dog's personality, the sensitivity of the human, and the particular nature of their shared connection. Edgar described how dogs often announce their presence through sensory impressions that mimic their physical characteristics when alive. A dog with a distinctive bark might be heard in moments of household quiet. One with a particular scent, whether the natural smell of their fur or a lingering shampoo fragrance, might suddenly perfume the air in places they frequented. The weight of paws might be felt pressing down on a bed or couch, or the familiar sound of nails clicking across hardwood floors might momentarily return. These sensory impressions are not mere hallucinations born of grief, but genuine interactions between realms. Edgar explained that dogs in their post-physical state learn to manipulate energy in ways that can temporarily affect the physical world. They gather etheric substance to create these brief sensory experiences, focusing their consciousness to manifest signs recognizable to their loved ones. While these manifestations require considerable energy from the animal's spirit, the desire to provide comfort and maintain connection motivates this expenditure. Many people report feeling a sudden, inexplicable sense of their dog's presence, a knowing that transcends the physical senses. Edgar described this as the most direct form of communication between human and animal spirits. In these moments, the consciousness of the dog directly touches the consciousness of the human, bypassing sensory perception entirely. This experience often brings with it a profound sense of peace and the unmistakable emotional signature of the individual animal, their unique way of expressing affection or excitement. Edgar emphasized that dogs are particularly adept at visiting during dreams. The dream state represents a condition where human consciousness naturally elevates to frequencies closer to those of the spiritual realm, making connection easier and more direct. Dreams featuring departed pets are often described as extraordinarily vivid and emotionally resonant, carrying a quality of reality that distinguishes them from ordinary dreams. In these encounters, the dog typically appears healthy and vibrant, often younger than in their final days, and the interaction feels genuinely reciprocal rather than a mere memory replay. These dream visitations serve an important purpose beyond simple reunion. They often communicate essential messages of reassurance, that the dog is well, that they continue to exist in a state of joy and freedom, and that they remain connected to their human companions. Some people report receiving specific impressions during these dreams, feelings of gratitude for care received, forgiveness for perceived failings, or encouragement to heal from grief, and perhaps eventually welcome a new animal companion. Periods of emotional distress or significant life changes often trigger these spiritual visits. Edgar noted that dogs retain their protective instincts after death and respond to the emotional states of their human companions. When a person experiences grief, illness, or major life transitions, their dog's spirit often draws near, offering the same comfort they provided in life. Many people report sensing their dog's presence most strongly during times of tears or emotional struggle, a spiritual continuation of the way dogs naturally respond to human distress. Children and individuals who approach life with openness and intuitive awareness often perceive these visitations most clearly. Edgar explained that the rational mind can create barriers to spiritual perception, analyzing and dismissing subtle signs that the intuitive mind readily accepts. This explains why children frequently report seeing or sensing departed pets with a matter-of-factness that adults might struggle to embrace. Their natural receptivity allows for clearer communication between worlds. Edgar taught that these visitations gradually change in character over time. In the initial period following transition, they may be frequent and relatively intense as the dog's consciousness remains closely connected to the physical realm. As the animal's spirit progresses in its journey, exploring new dimensions of existence and growing in spiritual understanding, the visitations typically become less frequent, but often more meaningful and purposeful when they do occur. Some of the most powerful visitations happen during moments of transition in the human's life. When a person faces their own approaching death, Edgar described how their animal companions often return to provide comfort and even assistance with the crossing process. Many hospice workers and death doulas have reported patients describing the presence of beloved pets who preceded them in death, seemingly arriving to escort them on their journey. These accounts align perfectly with Edgar's teaching that the bonds of love create pathways between worlds that serve both human and animal spirits. While these visitations bring immense comfort, they also serve a purpose in the grieving process. They provide a gradual transition from physical relationship to spiritual connection, allowing both human and animal to adapt to their changed circumstances. Edgar described how, over time, the need for physical manifestation diminishes as the human develops greater spiritual sensitivity and the ability to perceive the dog's presence through more subtle means. The timing and nature of these visits remain largely within the control of the animal spirit. Though humans may call out or plead for signs, Edgar taught that forcing or demanding contact can actually create energetic barriers. The most receptive state combines open awareness with peaceful acceptance, acknowledging the possibility of connection without grasping desperately for proof. This balanced approach creates an energetic environment conducive to spiritual visitation. Understanding these visitations offers profound comfort for those grieving a beloved dog. The perception that death represents a complete and permanent separation gives way to the recognition of continuing connection and communication across dimensional boundaries. Your companion has not disappeared from existence, but has merely changed form, retaining their essential nature and their bond with you. As we conclude this exploration of how dogs return to visit their human companions, remember that your awareness and receptivity influence your ability to perceive these precious connections. By maintaining an open heart and quiet mind, By speaking to your departed companion and acknowledging their continued presence in your life, you create conditions that facilitate these spiritual reunions, bridges of love spanning the apparent divide between worlds. Among Edgar's most profound spiritual insights regarding animal afterlife was his teaching on the possibility of reincarnation for our beloved canine companions. Unlike some Eastern traditions that view reincarnation as a wheel of suffering, Edgar presented animal reincarnation as an expression of love's continuity and the fulfillment of shared spiritual purposes between humans and their animal companions. According to his readings, some dog spirits choose to return to physical form, often within the same family circle, drawn by the powerful bonds of affection established in previous lifetimes. This choice is not made from obligation or karmic necessity, but represents a voluntary act of love, a desire to continue a relationship that brought joy and growth to both the animal and human souls involved. Edgar emphasized that this process differs significantly from human reincarnation. While human souls typically spend extended periods in spiritual realms between incarnations, processing life experiences and planning future growth, animal spirits, particularly those of dogs, may return much more quickly. Their simpler consciousness, unburdened by complex psychological processing, allows for a more fluid transition between spiritual and physical states. This explains why some families report finding a new dog with startlingly familiar behaviors and apparent recognition shortly after losing a beloved pet. The decision to reincarnate appears to be influenced by several factors. Dogs who shared especially deep bonds with their humans, who had a strong sense of purpose within the family unit, or whose lives were cut unexpectedly short, seem most likely to seek return. Edgar described how some animal spirits perceive that their spiritual mission with particular humans remains incomplete, motivating them to continue the relationship through a new physical form. Recognition of a reincarnated companion can occur in remarkable ways. Edgar spoke of distinctive behavioral patterns that transcend training or breed characteristics, unique ways of showing affection, specific reactions to certain words or situations, or unusual habits that perfectly mirror those of the departed pet. Perhaps most compelling are the accounts of new dogs demonstrating knowledge they couldn't possibly possess, recognizing people they've never met, responding to names never used in their presence, or showing familiarity with homes they've never entered before. Many who have experienced this phenomenon describe an immediate, inexplicable bond with a new animal, an instant recognition that defies rational explanation but resonates as truth on a soul level. Edgar suggested that this recognition occurs because the energetic signature of the returning spirit remains essentially unchanged. Even as it inhabits a new physical form, the soul recognizes the soul, transcending the limitations of appearance or breed. Interestingly, Edgar noted that while the core essence remains the same in these cases of reincarnation, the new physical form might differ considerably from the previous one. A large breed might return as a smaller dog, or a male might return as a female. The physical attributes matter less than the preservation of the essential spiritual connection and the continued opportunity for shared experience and growth. These returning spirits often choose bodies that will best serve their purpose in the new incarnation. A dog who previously served as a protective guardian might select a physically powerful breed for its next life, while one whose primary role was providing comfort might choose a form well suited to lap-sitting and close physical affection. Edgar described this as evidence of purposeful choice, rather than random assignment, each animal selecting the vehicle best suited for its continued spiritual mission. The timing of these returns varies widely according to circumstances. Some families report finding their new companion almost immediately after loss, sometimes even before they consciously begin searching. Others describe being drawn unexpectedly to a particular animal months or years later, often feeling guided by circumstances that seem too meaningful to be coincidental. Edgar suggested that the animal spirit, working in concert with spiritual guides, orchestrates these reunions when conditions are optimal for both parties. Not all dogs choose to reincarnate, and not all choose to return to the same family unit. Some animal spirits, having completed their purposes with particular humans, may move on to new experiences with different companions or different forms of spiritual service. Edgar emphasized that there is perfect wisdom in these choices. each spirit following the path that best serves its continued evolution and the greater good of all involved. For those who do experience the profound gift of a returning companion, Edgar offered guidance on honoring both the connection and the difference. While the essence may be familiar, the new incarnation represents a fresh expression of that spirit, one that should be appreciated for its unique qualities, rather than expected to be an exact replica of the previous form. Each incarnation brings new possibilities, new lessons, and new expressions of the eternal bond between human and animal. The recognition of a reincarnated companion often brings not only joy, but also profound spiritual insight. It offers experiential evidence of life's continuity beyond physical death, challenging materialistic assumptions and expanding our understanding of the connections that bind all living beings. Through these remarkable reunions, many people find their first compelling reason to consider the reality of spiritual existence beyond the material plane. Edgar taught that these experiences of animal reincarnation serve as gentle introductions to larger spiritual truths. By witnessing the return of a beloved companion, recognizing the familiar soul in unfamiliar form, humans glimpse the greater pattern of spiritual continuity that encompasses all existence. The dog that returns becomes a living bridge between worlds, a tangible reminder that love transcends death and finds expression through multiple forms across time. This perspective offers profound comfort to those grieving the loss of a canine companion. The possibility of reunion in this lifetime, not merely as a distant spiritual promise but as a tangible physical reality, transforms the experience of loss. Grief remains a natural response to separation, but it is tempered by the recognition that the goodbye may be temporary, that the threads connecting souls find ways to reweave themselves into the fabric of shared experience. Edgar cautioned, however, against approaching animal reincarnation with attachment to outcomes or expectations. The spiritual choice to return belongs to the animal's soul alone, made in concert with divine wisdom. Some companions complete their purposes perfectly in a single shared lifetime and move on to different expressions of service. The inability to identify a returning companion does not diminish the significance of the bond shared or suggest any lessening of love's reality. Whether or not a dog chooses to reincarnate, Edgar emphasized that the connection established between human and animal spirits continues eternally. The love shared, the growth experienced together, the comfort and joy exchanged, all create permanent impressions in the spiritual fabric of existence. These bonds remain active across dimensions, evolving and expanding, but never diminishing in their essential truth. As we conclude our exploration of animal afterlife through Edgar's spiritual insights, perhaps the most beautiful teaching remains this: the relationship between humans and their canine companions represents not a temporary accident of evolution, but a purposeful spiritual design, a partnership meant to nurture the growth of consciousness in both species. Whether continued through reincarnation, maintained through spiritual visitation, or transformed into new expressions of connection, the love between dog and human participates in the eternal unfolding of divine consciousness. In the face of loss, remember that your beloved companion continues their journey, guided by perfect wisdom and sustained by the love you shared. The bond you forged transcends the limitations of physical form, creating pathways of connection that remain open across all dimensions of existence. In this truth lies both comfort for grief and inspiration for living, a reminder that love, in all its expressions, represents our most direct experience of the divine. If these spiritual insights about where our beloved dogs go after death have brought you comfort or perspective, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue sharing these profound spiritual teachings. Leave a comment below sharing your own experiences with pet loss, or how these insights have touched your heart. Each story shared creates a community of understanding for those navigating this difficult journey. Hit that notification bell to receive more videos exploring the deeper spiritual truths that Edgar and other mystics have revealed about our eternal connection with all beings. Remember, your experiences matter. They validate the continuing bonds we share with those we've loved, even beyond physical separation.